Hey everybody, welcome back to the Sketchdom. My name is Jason Sketch, and I'm super excited to bring you guys more Marvel Champions content. Today, I am super stoked because the new Fear No Evil article finally came out. We have information about this new expansion box coming out to Marvel Champions, and I can't freaking wait. So, let's jump on down to the table, let's talk about this article, and check things out. All right, everybody, I am super stoked. I hope you guys are just as excited as I am. Here we are looking at this new article here with us, and I cannot wait to talk about it. So, first and foremost, this is really, really neat. What we're going to do is I'm going to read it word for word to you guys on this article. I'm going to go through like I usually do and just talk about the cards and talk about what we're kind of seeing, kind of give you bits and pieces of the article because you guys are capable of reading yourselves. So, on top of that, it's not always fun to have somebody just read stuff to you. So, I'm going to kind of skim some things. We're going to talk through some different stuff, and I'm pretty stoked about it, and I hope you guys are as well. First thing we kind of need to take note of is very specifically that they have 6 scenarios in this box instead of 5. So we're going to have 6 more villains to face. So there's going to be 5 that you can face beforehand and 1 that is extra at the end there. And so I'm pretty excited about it. Today we're going to be talking about all those things. Some things you can kind of notice here, kind of standing out a little bit. We've got like a chain lightning. It looks like a protection card, but I think it's a well, I can't quite tell. It's probably part of this Electro scenario here. We got Rhino, Kingpin, Black Cat is in here. That's interesting because she's also a ally card. So it's funny that you can see her as a villain card in this scenario. Just kind of different things over here. We got a shop protector, protect the shopkeeper, and things like that. So it looks like we got a lot of fun ideas coming along the way. What the plan is for this whole box is relatively simple. You're going to have 5 villains that you're going to be able to face right at the beginning. And then there's going to be 1 villain at the end that you face. So it's Kingpin, right? So Kingpin's going to be the villain that you face at the end. You can kind of see here next to the article next to me. These are our 5 villains that we're going to be facing throughout this first part of the campaign. We've got Electro, Typhoid Mary, Purple Man, I believe this is Hammerhead, and Bullseye. Now it's interesting, right? Because these are definitely 2 Spider-Man villains. And these 2 are definitely Daredevil villains. But I think Purple Man, at least from what Netflix series has taught me, is a Jessica Jones villain. So either way, these are all street level villains, which is what the Defenders tend to fight and take care of, at least in the Marvel Champions universe. So I'm pretty excited about it. It's going to be super awesome. Let's keep on going down and talking about this great scenario. I'm super excited to have some very, very initial information here. So they're going to reveal to us 2 of these villains in this scenario, and the thing to note about both these villains is they don't have a main scheme, which they'll talk about here in a second, but essentially they are including what I'm understanding as mod sets that have scenarios in them. So you can play a villain, choose the main scheme with its regular scenario stuff that comes with it, and then on top of that add your mod sets, which makes it a little bit more interesting in the long term because you can kind of shake things up over time. We saw it some in Civil War where we had different mods, main schemes, and to kind of deal with, but this goes a little bit of a step further, now adding some extra specific mod stuff that goes with that main scheme. So it's kind of interesting because now we're almost like taking a regular scenario where we have the villain and then we have the main scheme stuff, and they're kind of separated, which is, I think, is really smart in the way that they're doing this, honestly, though it feels clunky just initially reading it, because for the sole fact that we have the villain and then we have the main scheme, right? And it feels clunky in the sense that we're so used to it all just kind of being united together, but I like that it's separate at the same time, because now I can go in and go, cool, I want to play Bullseye, and I don't have to worry about doing this main scheme that he always does every single time. I can pick a different main scheme to put in with him. And it makes it a little bit different, a little more unique. And you know what the main scheme has connected to it. So, for example, one of them is about car thievery, right? And so I know that most of the theming of the villain scenario is about him stealing a car. But I don't have to worry about, cool, every time I face Bullseye, I'm just chasing him in a car. Kind of like what we were encountering with the Loki scenario back in Mad Titan Shadow. Everybody tends to openly talk about how they don't like that scenario because they have to deal with always having to have the gauntlet with that Loki. Now this kind of opens up the door for you to do something a little bit different with each of these scenarios, and it's going to change the way we play Marvel Champions in the future if this type of build continues. It's now not like one mainline story that you kind of carry all the way through with the campaign, but rather it's going to be more of a, yes, you are dealing with Bullseye, and today he is doing blank. And I think that is really cool. I'm excited for how this is going to work. I hope you guys are as well, because I feel like it's going to just add a nice twist to the game that is needed and necessary for helping things to continue to grow, which makes more sense now why we have like a current environment. Not only because A, they just can't keep up with all the printing, but B, now we have something else so we can kind of connect the current environment to. That makes it a little bit like cool, where we're kind of sliding away from some of the older way you build these villains to a new way that you put these villains together. We're seeing it some in Civil War moving into this box. And hopefully this is something that will continue into future sets as well. This is my personal opinion. Now, this is all just based on reading the article, right? So that can all change once we start playing it and I go, oh, actually this is annoying because now I have to grab it from here and here to be able to play. We'll just find out. I think it's interesting enough. I kind of like that idea with the Civil War stuff, but at the same time, it does make it interesting that I can't always plan ahead on what I want to do. This gives a little more room for planning ahead. Because it's not as randomized, right? It doesn't feel like it is anyways. But the idea that I can customize these sets when I'm facing them just makes it that more exciting to me. All right, so let's dive into some of these cards. Let's check out some of these villains. We've got Bullseye here first. And this is his first level of Bullseye, so we're not even seeing what his Stage 2 or Stage 3 looks like. But when he's revealed, set aside the adamantium-laced spine, 68A. Force interrupt. When Bullseye activates, each of his boost cards gain 1 boost icon. If this activation is an attack, it gains ranged. That actually feels like it fits him quite a bit. When you're looking at this, I don't feel like he's going to be a tough villain to face, right? 0 scheme, 1 attack. It doesn't feel like I'm going to be doing quite a bit of damage to him overall. Especially if I'm doing a quick skirmish, just kind of quick fight with him. I'm going to be taking Bullseye out pretty easily. Though it's kind of neat that he's building up and doing extra damage over time, because if you draw those 3 boost icon cards, he's going to be doing quite a bit of damage to you. Because he's now doing 4 instead. So if you draw one that's a 4 boost icon card, which is some of these Thunderbolts that we have, that could be 5 more points of damage, which you'd be swinging for 6. So it's just going to be a very swingy of really how much damage he's doing in the long term. But essentially, he's basically got a 2 attack starting from this point forward. Now, let's go ahead and look at that adamantium spine, and it's down here towards the end. And this is a card that doesn't come out until his Stage 2. And it's a permanent card, so it comes into play as soon as it comes out. So you're going to want to make it a clear sleeve card because it has 2 different sides. So, first thing you need to note is that when Bullseye would take damage, prevent all but 3 of that damage. Place the prevented damage here. If there is 6 or more damage here, flip this card. So now, like I was talking about, he seems like he's going to be pretty easy to kill. This card here makes it harder for you to kill him because anytime you do damage to him, 3 of that damage is going to go on this thing here. Which is pretty crazy to think about. Also, I didn't know he had an adamantium spine like Wolverine. Adamantium lace spine, excuse me. So, once it has 6 damage, then you flip it to the other side. And after Bullseye schemes, remove 3 from here. Then, if there's no damage here, flip this card. So it's kind of like the bell tower that we have with Venom. But it's a little bit different in the fact that it's based off of damage. And the damage comes off in a little bit of a different way, I feel like. But this is based off of him scheming. So he's going to be... It's still permanent, still goes out there. Essentially, he's getting surgery, I guess, and still fighting you with a broken spine. Which is kind of pretty impressive, honestly. So... after Bullseye schemes, remove 3 damage from here. Then, if there is no damage here, flip this card. So if you get... you can't stack it. So the bell tower, you can stack the amount of damage, right? This one, prevent all but 3 of that damage. Okay. So, when you attack, if you're doing 5 damage, he will take 2 of that damage here, and the other 3 go to him. He can't take more than 3 damage while he's got that lace spine activated. So you want to try to make sure you're doing enough damage to kind of get it to flip to at the 6 pretty quickly. Which I'm kind of curious how that's going to go because I feel like in a solo game that's going to feel like a lot, but in a multiplayer game, honestly, getting 6 damage on him probably won't be too terribly hard if we're all just attacking him on the turn that it drops, and then you kind of make sure that he doesn't scheme to remove it later on. Because when he schemes, he clears 3 off of here. But there's some people I've played with who have to flip back and forth every single turn based on what the hero they're playing, so it may be variable. It's interesting. I like it. I think it's going to be a neat mechanic to kind of have to work around and play with. But he doesn't get it till his stage 2, which means if you're playing an expert, it's right there already. All right, he's got some other cool cards in here that we gotta look at real quick. We've got the side scheme deranged bloodlust. When revealed, place additional threat here equal to Bullseye's stage number. He's gonna get +1 boost icons on everything that he does as well. After this activation reveal, after this activation, reveal this card. So the boost brings it out. So either way, when you see this card, it's coming onto the table. It's only a 4 threat, so that's not too terrible. You can take care of it pretty quick. Place additional threat here, though, equal to Bullseye's stage number. So if he's at stage 2, you're already looking at 2 more, which is going to make it 6. If he's at stage 3, he's going to make it 7. So, but that's only when it's revealed. But either way, you reveal it. So that's pretty cool. It's a nice little side scheme that's just kind of something you may or may not want to take care of, depending on where you're at in your game. But an extra boost icon on everything that he does can get annoying over time. He's got this unearning desire. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Unearning desire. When revealed, this is a treachery. When revealed, choose to either give this card to the villain as a face-down boost card or remove a persona or support you control from the game. Boost this activation is an attack or if it gains overkill. Now, that's something that I thought that was neat when I was reading about him. I like Bullseye as a villain, and so I was super excited to see him in the game. His whole bit, and you'll see this on a lot of his cards, when he takes somebody out, he takes them out. Not just defeating them and putting them into your discard pile. They're gone from the game. I think that is pretty cool and kind of defines him differently from a lot of other villains. It's going to make him a lot of fun to play against, really, is I might be losing a Persona character, which is going to be people like Gwen Stacy and Miles Morales are really going to want to keep theirs around quite a bit. Which makes me think as well that Echo and Daredevil and some of the other defenders are going to have some personas in them that are going to be impacted by this as well. Not every hero has a persona to have to worry about, and that means that they're going to be having to get a additional boost card when they get attacked, which is then, oh gosh. So with his ability, right? We're talking about that earlier. He's going to be doing 4 points of damage to you here. If this activation is an attack, it gains overkill. Now he's going to give somebody an additional boost card. So he's already doing 4 damage to you here, plus gaining overkill. If it's revealed as a treachery, you should either give this card to your villain as a face-down boost card. So you can either then on top of that, he's not only that, but he's going to have to double the amount of boosts. He's going to get 3 damage in total because he's adding an additional boost to everything that he does. And essentially, he could quickly take out some of your allies and different things like that, which is pretty stinking wild. You have Raise the Stakes attached to Bullseye, which is an attachment. When Bullseye attacks, give him 1 additional boost card from this attack. This attack defeats a friendly character. Remove them from this card from the game. Otherwise, shuffle this card into the encounter deck. If the attack defeats a friendly character, remove them and this card from the game. So, if you try to chump block with Raise the Stakes out, and he kills your chumper, both this card and the chumping ally will leave the game. Just be done. You can't use them anymore. He has taken them out. But he can't take out more. So these Raise the Stakes, I'm kind of curious of how many they're going to be. He only has 14 cards in his kit. And we know that number 4 is his spine. Let's see. This is a number 13 card, which is probably going to have 2 of those. And that's a number 11 card. So we don't really know how many. He's going to probably at least 2 of these Raise the Stakes, I imagine. But again, 3 boost icons. It looks like his boost icons are relatively high, at least from the first 2 cards that we're seeing here, which is going to make things interesting for when he's attacking you. So, yes, you're seeing that you only can deal with 1 attack, but when his cards come out, he's really hitting you hard. This is a number 7. So we go from 5. So I imagine we will have 2 of these Raise the Stakes, which will then lead us into this Insistent Pursuit, which probably has 2 of them as well. Attached to an ally without an Insistent Pursuit attached. Otherwise, this card gains Surge. So this attachment doesn't go on the villain, attaches to one of your allies. When the villain would attack you, it attacks attached ally instead. The attack gains Overkill. If this attack defeats attached ally, remove them from the game. This card gets to get shuffled back into his deck, though, but that ally is just gone. Which is going to be interesting, right? Because you probably, if you're playing Hercules, right, it's going to get attached to Damadeus Cho at some point, who's already getting attacked anyways. So now you're just stacking on more stuff. You're really going to want to be able to defend well with Hercules up against Bullseye. Of course, Bullseye might get smashed in the face pretty quickly by Herc. We'll just have to see. I think he's got some really cool cards. I'm excited to face Bullseye. I think he's probably, besides, well, Purple Man is on my list now too. I didn't know Purple Man was going to be in the scenario box. So I'm super stoked about it. But again, David Tennant did a great job of making Purple Man seem really scary. If you have not watched the Jessica Jones Netflix series, go check it out. All right. So, Bullseye's completed. I think we've got some really cool things on with Bullseye. Again, we don't know what main schemes are yet. Not until later on, but you can kind of see what the scenario is going to change and shift as we go. The other villain they're revealing today, and at least as part of the original 5 that we talked about, again, we have Bullseye and... Which, look at that art, by the way, of Bullseye. That's just so much fun. And the Electro art is pretty neat, too. And it's a female Electro, so it's not the male Electro that we saw in Sinister Motives. And I don't think it's the same female Electro that we see in Iron Spider's Sinister 6. But we can explore more of that and find out. She also has 14 cards to kind of something to kind of think about as well. 15 hit points. But yeah, I was just trying to think if there's anything else I want to talk about. Again, we got Typhoid Mary, Purple Man, and Hammerhead. I'm not excited about Hammerhead as much as I am really these 3 right here. Bullseye, Typhoid Mary, and Purple Man. Electro, though, seems pretty exciting. I think it's kind of unique to have it out there. I think Hammerhead's just going to be a brute, like another Rhino. But we'll find out, right? Of course, we don't know what this person behind him does, so. All right. So next we have Francine Fryer, which I need to look up if that's the same one as the Iron Spider. We can do that real quick, can't we? We got a little time, right? Let's hope that it doesn't look terrible on the screen here. We're going to go Cycle 5. It is in this set here. And we don't know. It does, as you can obviously tell from the way the screen looks right now. It looks so bad. But it does not have a name or alter ego name on this card here. So, never mind. That is not the same person. You can probably see it here. There's no alter ego name here for that. So, it could be her. It could be somebody different. We'll just have to look it up and find out. So, let's keep going, though. Because we're 18 minutes into this video, and I want to make sure it's not anything longer than half an hour. So, all right, we have Electro, who's a 1/1. When revealed, as again, this is her first stage. When revealed, find... Come on, Jason. There we go. When revealed, find Electric Charge, attach it to Electro, and place 2 charges per player, counters on it. Interesting. All right, so we need to find, when revealed, find Electric Charge. We need to go look for Electric Charge here in a second. Force response. After Electro schemes, place 1 charge counter on Electric Charge. Electric Charge is probably a crucial part to what her cards are, which is the next card we would have seen in her kit. So here it is. This is card number 4. This is the very first card that's there. It's permanent, so this is probably one that you also want to sleeve a different color so you don't shuffle it into your deck. Forced Interrupt. When Electro attacks, remove 1 charge counter from here. Give Electro an additional boost card from this attack. This attack gains Overkill. Oh, dip. Okay. So this card is impacted by her being charged up. And if she is charged up, her attacks are going to gain Overkill. She's starting off with 2 per player. If you're playing a 1-player game, she's going to have 2 on there. Every time she schemes, she gets to add 1 more on there to boosted per attack. So that gains her some benefits of what she's going to be able to do in the long term. As a hero action, you can spend an electric resource or 2 resources of any type to remove 1 charge counter from here. You can't get rid of this attachment completely, but you can at least make some difference in it in the long term. So somebody like Wonder Man or Iron Man's not going to really have much issue taking care of this, where somebody that like Hulk, who only mostly has fighting resources, is going to struggle. So her side scheme that she has in her deck is charging up. It's got 3 boost icons. I don't know if I like this art very much, but I can see why it was chosen. Place 3 charge counters on electric charge when it's defeated. Or you deal with an extra boost icon the entire fight. It's not bad, right? Like, if you're not really worried about overkill damage, I guess it's not a big deal. Because that's all you're really doing, right? This attack, gives an additional boost card to this attack. Hit or miss, really. When you take it out, she gets 3 charge counters, and if you can deal with some of those charge counters, it's not too bad. I'm kind of interested to see what a Breast for a Boost card is going to look like, because right now we're just seeing one that is 3 boosts right here, which is a pretty big deal. And it's a 1 boost is the next thing we see. So Chain Lightning. That's the card we were pointing at the beginning of the video. Cool. When revealed, each character you control chooses exhaust that character or deal for each character you control. Choose exhaust that character or deal 1 damage to that character. 3 damage instead if there are any charge counters on electrical charge. Good. Remove 1 charge counter from electric charge. Wow. Okay. That last paragraph is very interesting. So, for example, if there's only 1 charge counter on there, this is a good way for you to clear that charge counter. Let your hero take 3 damage. And then the rest of your allies can either just get exhausted or take a point of damage, depending on what you need them to do. It is going to hurt you either way, because you're losing 1 activation from all of your allies by either exhausting them. Well, you're actually not losing an activation if you exhaust them. You should get to lose what they're going to do that next turn. Or they take a point of damage, which could kill them off as well. And so it just kind of depends on what you're really needing in the long term. You could have an ally. Then let's say you have to go in a specific order. So you could have one of your allies take 3 damage, clear that charge counter for you, and then everybody else, then you just take 1. It's just it's an interesting decision point card. I like it for that purpose. But again, it's playing back to the electrical charge there. I do like the artwork here where you see a bunch of people, they are being shocked. So that is actually a really neat piece of art. All right, again, so here's a 2 boost. So it's a 1 boost and a 2 boost. So we're not doing too bad so far. Energy Overload. When revealed, if you have no cards with a printed energy resource in your hand, this card gains Surge. Annoying. Otherwise, for each card with a printed energy resource in your hand, choose discard that card, stun a character you control. What? Okay. I mean, like... Oh, Wonder Man's gonna hate this. Wonder Man's gonna hate this. Wow. Okay. That is cool. I like the mechanic there where you're essentially being shocked and it's causing problems for you. You're losing some fighting ability or you're taking damage. So you're kind of hoping for really like maybe 1 energy resource in your hand that isn't going to help you in the long term, and you can discard it. But I can see there's going to be some terms where this card alone is just going to devastate a player because they're not able to do what they want to do. This is really neat. Can we talk about this as well a little bit? I just noticed this, and I'm kind of curious if it's on all of her cards. It looks like it is. She's got little lightning bolts coming off the sides of all of her white boxes here. I really think that is, well, gorgeously done. All right. Drain Power. This is going to get attached to, I believe, your identity, right? So you get 3 drain counters on it. 3 drain counters on it. When revealed, attach to your identity and exhaust each upgrade you control. This is going to hurt people like Iron Man and Iron Heart and folks, Black Panther, who all really like having really anybody that's got upgrades, now that I think about it, but especially those that really count on using their upgrades during their turn. When an upgrade you control would ready, you may spend an energy resource or 2 resources of any type. If you do, remove 1 drain counter from here. Otherwise, that upgrade does not ready. So you have to spend money to ready it, but it removes a drain counter. And once all 3 of the drain counters are cleared, you can get back to the work that you were doing before. It's just going to make a turn harder. I think, just looking at her cards, and I think that's the last one, right? Drain to power? Yep. Just looking at her cards, overall, Electro is going to be a fun scenario to face, and actually a big challenge, depending on how many cards get put into her kit. I'm interested on that. I'm interested on how the building mechanic works, which is if it's going to go, you choose your villain, choose your main scheme, and then you get this, you can choose up to these amount of side schemes, up to these amount of mod sets, or if it's going to be, because you chose this main scheme, you only get this many other mod sets included. I'm kind of curious how that all is going to work out in the long term. Again, you're still going to do your standard and expert cards, so that is interesting. So, now we need to look at some of the crime sprees. And these crime sprees, I like this art, by the way. Luke Cage on top of a car. This is so cool. Luke Cage is one of my favorite heroes. He's the one I'm most stoked about from this set. So I cannot wait for him to come out. Him and Jessica Jones, I'm going to buy day of. I want to have in my house day of. And I'll probably be playing the fire out of them. I'm really have high hopes for both of them. So I'm kind of bummed if they don't turn out to be my playstyle. So, because I don't want to say bad heroes, right? Because I think every hero is spent a lot of time on and given love towards as they're being built. I just feel like some folks are able to play some heroes better than others, and they fit other playstyles better than others. So that is a different conversation for another time, Jason. Let's keep moving forward. All right, so the crime spree. By now, some of you may have noticed that let me start that over. By now, you may have noticed that we have yet to reveal a main scheme for either of these villains. That's because neither of them actually have a main scheme of their own. In fact, none of the underling villains in this box do. Instead, each of these scenarios in the expansion, with the exception of the last one, which we'll get to in a moment, exists independently of that villain. And you can mix and match them to your heart's content. So I'm pretty excited about this. Some of them are going to be easier than others. Looks like we're going to see how the setup works. I missed that earlier when I was reading through the article under the protection racket here. So let's look at the getaway first, though. So force interrupt. When the round ends, if there's threat here, do each of the following. Place 1 speed counter here. 2, if alongside it is in play, flip it 2 out front. Otherwise, place 1 additional speed counter here. Interesting. So we got to figure out what these speed counters do and how they impact the game. You start off with 2 threat, and it goes up by 2 threat per player each round. That is interesting for a 9 threat scenario. You really want to make sure your Justice player is around and able to take care of stuff for you. You have to call the action for your Justice player to take care of stuff at the beginning of your turns. We'll find out. So out front, here's the card we were talking about. Permanent. Attached to the villain. If there is no threat on the main scheme, flip this card. Attached villain attacks gain ranged. Annoying, but okay. Means they're going to go past your retaliate. So you're not going to be able to do retaliate damage on them. When the villain would be dealt any amount of damage, remove that amount of threat from the main scheme instead. Okay. Ignoring crisis icons. So as long as out front isn't front, you can still clear main scheme by dealing damage to the villain. So definitely coordinating with your table. Solo, you're just gonna have to deal with it. If you're at a big table and you're like, cool, I want to be able to hit them hard. Awesome. Can anybody clear any threat? Can I call to action for anybody to clear threat before we move forward? And that's going to be an action card. You guys know how that all works. Calling for action to help clear some threat before things get to become a problem. Man, so if it's flipped, right, goes to the other side, each player takes 1 indirect damage when it's revealed. The villain takes 2 damage. The villain takes 2 damage per player. Well, that's neat. So you want it to flip as often as it's going to flip quite a bit, but the more you flip it, the more damage he gets over time. So it doesn't feel as bad having it help you clear threat off the main if it's going to cause it to flip. Excuse me. You got to really kind of coordinate how you're flipping this one back and forth. Burning Rubber. When revealed, for each speed counter on the main scheme, choose spin 1 resource of any type, or place 1 threat on the main scheme. For each speed... Oh, okay. So now the speed counters come into play. So for each speed counter on the main scheme, choose either spin 1 resource of any type, or place 1 threat on the main scheme. Ugh. Because there's 5 speed count. Can you clear off speed counters? Get them to slow down? Pedestrians, when revealed, for each speed counter on the main scheme, choose exhaust a character you control or take 1 indirect damage. Interesting. So, I mean, it's kind of clear here, right, that what I am doing is what we're doing as a team or as a unit. We're trying to stop the car from hitting the pedestrians, which can be 1 or 2 things that are going to cause the issue here. 1, we're going to be dealing with either being exhausted by stopping the car, so you have somebody like Hulk who's like stopping it, but it's wearing him out by stopping it. But then you have the indirect damage you have to consider as well, because if you have like 5 speed counters on that car, you may be taking some indirect damage. This is going to be a very interesting main scheme to contend with, and I'm glad it's not locked into 1 villain specifically. I'm glad you can kind of coordinate. I don't feel like doing that main scenario today. We're going to go do this other thing instead, or let's stop some cars, baby. It does have some flavor text. I'm going to let Boom Guy tell you what they are, because those are his favorite things. But this one's Iron Fist. It says, hope you've got your seatbelt on. Thank you, Iron Fist. Thank you so much. It is Iron Fist driving that van, so I guess he's not the one running into people. I feel like that's kind of weird, actually, because it's... Anyways, you see the pedestrians crossing the street, and I think that's the point they were trying to make originally. So, let's see if there's any... Yep, that was the last one for that card. So now we're going to be looking at Protection Protection Racket. And this is going to be another side scheme, but this is going to actually get to see how the setup works, which is nice. We're looking at the 1A side. So, contents. Chosen underling villain. Chosen villain set. Protection Racket set. And standard set. 2 modular sets and counter sets. So, Disasters and Tracksuit Mafia. So it looks like we're going to be getting, not only do you get the main scheme and you get the villain underling, which has to be an underling, right? Then you attach to the mod sets that come in the scenario pack as well, which I'm kind of curious how many more mod sets we're getting. We've got 6 villains that we get to contend with. How many of these main schemes are we dealing with? And then how many mod sets are we getting? This is going to be a very hefty box. It's going to have some really good stuff in it. Hopefully we get Expert 3. Nothing's being said about it yet. All right. So that's kind of cool to see how it gets all set up. Each player chooses a single Protection Racket main scheme at random in Expert mode. mode. Ooh. Places it in their play area and flips it to 1B side. Set each unused main scheme aside out of play. Oh my gosh. Okay. So it kind of looks like maybe each person's going to be dealing with their own. Yep, there's one of 9. There's a question mark of 9 right here. This one, is everybody going to be dealing with their own main scheme? Scenario has multiple crimes going on at once, which means the heroes will have to divide and conquer if they want to bring the chaos to a halt. Each player has their own main scheme to deal with, each one representing a different shop to protect. They all have certain conditions that add additional threat to them. For example, excess damage while dealing with a bull in a china shop. Oh, interesting. If any main scheme is completed or any player is eliminated, the players lose the game. When excess damage is dealt to an ally in this play area, place an equal amount of threat on this scheme. Okay. So, what I'm going to be curious about with this scenario is if I'm playing a multiplayer, can other people help me? So, we're going to keep looking here. Can end up destroying the shop wires or, in similar fashion, hung out to dry. This is a washing machine scenario. That's kind of cool. Jessica Jones, calm down. It's on the gentle cycle. Jessica Jones, flavor text. But they're all, looks like so far they're all like 10 threats, so that's not something too terribly worried about. After a character enters play in this play area, deal 1 damage. After a character enters play in this play area, deal 1 damage to it and place 1 threat here. Cool beans. And we also have the Pawn Shop Showdown. Reduce the amount. I love this, by the way. Iron Fist in his costume standing out here. This is fire. This is one of the best versions of Iron Fist I've seen. I like it. Danny Rand, baby. All right, reduce the cost of the first upgrade played into this play area each round by 1. That's great. After an attachment or upgrade enters play in this play area, place 1 threat here. That's not so great. I'm starting to get a vibe. This feels a lot like Mansion Attack, where we have a different possibility for a main scheme, but now there's like 9 to deal with. That's pretty good. Right? That's only seeing 2. We don't even see number 1. Seeing 2, 3, 4, and then we're going into these civilians here. So you may remember that shop inventory even. Beyond the shop itself, you'll have to protect the shop proprietor. When revealed, put shop proprietor into play under your control. This card gains Surge. It's a 6 of 9. Okay, so it doesn't have 9. It does not have 9 main schemes. Probably going to have 5 because we're seeing a 6 right now. Force interrupt. When this ally leaves play, place 4 threat on the main scheme in your play area. You got to try to keep him alive. In play under your control, this card gains Surge. All right, so it's going to be in your encounter set, but then you have to protect him. But they can clear at least 1 threat or do 1 damage for you, which is helpful. Depending on what's going on in the scenario, it'll be very helpful. Change of venue. Surge. When revealed, swap your main scheme with a random set-aside main scheme. Place the threat from the previous scheme on this new scheme. Boost. Resolve the when revealed ability. That's a number 8. So it looks like they're going to have 2 shop proprietors, right? That was a 5. That's a 6. Yeah, so 2 shopkeepers that we have to take care of. Proprietors, I guess is the right word. And then we've got probably 2 change of venue, which means you're changing your main schemes around. And if there's 5 in total, there's only 1 that sits on the outside. So that's not so bad. I still want to know if I can help my friends out if I am the threat taker carer of the table. Can I remove scheme from that main scheme and my main scheme? So heroes can still assist. Okay, there it is, Jason, right there. Just read a little bit farther in the article. Heroes can still assist each other by thwarting main schemes rather than their own. And they'll definitely want to, so since if any of these main schemes are completed, the players lose the game. Any game effects on your card you resolve that refers to the main scheme typically will only work on your main scheme. But any card effects that target a scheme will work on any main scheme. This means that you'll have to be strategic about your thwarting abilities. That is interesting. Okay. And when you use them. And depending on what encounter cards each player has to resolve, you might find one player's main scheme building up threat faster than another's. Thankfully, anytime an enemy schemes, including both those minions and their minions, they only add threat to the main scheme of the player they're activating against, which means you still have a fighting chance, even if things take a turn for the worst. Sweet, well, that is good news. So that is it's good to know. It means that cards like Everywhere All at Once that I usually play in Wonder Man is going to work just fine here. All right, we've got a couple more things left to talk about. We're going to dive into the Raft Breakout. So this is our last scenario for the day, and it's going to end on Master Key. But we're stopping a breakout from the raft, which is the giant prison. So go forth and wreak havoc. Proxima Midnight. So I guess Proxima Midnight. Is Proxima Midnight letting everybody out, or is we're just quoting her? Speaking of fighting, these are interchangeable scenarios that we'll show you today. Cool. You might have guessed from its name, the scenario resolves around the mass breakout of the Shield Super Complex prison. The prison is a chock full of enemies from previous Marvel Champions campaigns expansions, and they're all itching for a chance for some payback. All right. So each minion gains when defeated. Remove one threat from the main scheme. 2 threat instead if the minion has the elite trait. Good to know. So taking out minions is going to be important. Bucky's going to have a heyday here with clearing threat and taking out minions because he's just going to be stacking on top of his 2 that he's already doing. This is great. Raft Breakout. So I'm excited for this. This actually looks like a lot of fun, and probably one that I'll want to try out pretty quickly. The card chase looks like a lot of fun too. All these scenarios so far have been really neat, and I like the fact that you can just combo them with any of these scrupulous villains. So I'm sure some combos are going to be more difficult than others, but it makes for a nice, like, I like this main scheme, but I don't like this villain, so let's switch the villain up. First, we have the Rhino, who's going to have 1 scheme, 3 attack. He does have the Brute, Elite, and Prisoner trait, but that means you can't do some of the Elite nonsense. He's got Elite, so it's going to make some things harder, but it is going to help with helping to clear threat if you kill him. Of course, he is 7 threat. 7 damage, plus toughness, and he's villainous. Oh, good, okay. This is just getting more and more exciting. Rhino's attacks gain overkill. Give the activating enemy a tough status card if he's drawn as a boost. And he still has 3 boost icons on him. Holy crap. This is a wild card. Rhino's actually coming in to be more worthwhile of taking care of. By the way, this art is prime. I love it. It's so good. Are all of our arts going to be themed around these villains actually being in the raft and escaping the prison? If so, I think that's great. Next one is Mysterio, who's also villainous. He's also got the elite trait. He schemes for 2. He's got 1 attack. He's got 6 health. Also 3 boost icons. Force responds. After Mysterio attacks you, deal each of that activation's boost cards that is a treachery to yourself as a face down encounter card. Oh my gosh. So any treachery cards that are part of your boost then can be dealt to you as a face down encounter card. So you just have to deal with a bad card potentially twice. Yeah, Mysterio, I see you're dying pretty fast, pretty quick, pretty consistently. Look! Jesse? Another Mysterio for you to love. Alright. Baron Zemo! Elite, Hydra, Prisoner. 6 health points, 2 scheme, 1 attack. He's also villainous. Treat each ally with threat on it as a deceived minion with a blank text spot. Whoa, treat each ally with a threat on it as a deceived minion with a blank text box. Its scheme is equal to its base thwart, and it does not take consequential damage. When revealed, place one threat on an ally without threat on it and engages its controller. Interesting. Is there more ways to get threat on your allies besides Baron Zemo coming into play, or is this just something that we're gonna have to contend with on a regular basis? But it is interesting that we're gonna see Zemo pretty stinking quickly, right after the Civil. Not, I guess we had Civil War box. We just had the Agents of Shield box around this time last year, though. Whoo! Got some shivers. All right, very cool. Last but not least, we have the Master Key. That looks like it's on Baron Zemo's hand there. No, it's not. Never mind. Somebody with purple gloves. Maybe somebody with purple gloves. All right. Item. Attached to the villain. Permanent. Force response. After the villain schemes against you, deal each of that activation's boost cards. Hold on. Attached to the minion is permanent. So I'm kind of curious now if this is something that, like, you don't draw into, it just is automatically in play. But after the villain schemes against you, deal each of that activation's boost cards that is a minion to yourself as a face down encounter card. Ugh. I don't like this. And there's no hero response. I can't get rid of it. This is wild. This is going to make the interesting scenario. If it's this card may make or break a scenario. But it looks like each of these scenarios. Oh my gosh! Excuse me. I don't know why I'm yawning so much. It looks like each of these scenarios here that we're dealing with are going to be more difficult than we thought, and that's a good thing. It's going to make the game more interesting. And it's not going to be like, cool, I know that if I face Absorbing Man every single time, he's an easy scenario to take care of. It's just, these scenarios are here, they're there, and they cause problems. And it doesn't mean that if you play them in a certain order, they're going to be easier than one after the other. I'm actually very happy with this. I think they're leaning more into realizing that a lot of their players don't like running the campaign gauntlet all the time. So they're designing the campaigns in a way that you don't have to, like, follow a certain order to defeat this game. You just have a lot of modularity that you can kind of just customize what you're facing more and more, which I think is going to be a smart way to continue to move forward in this game. Last but not least, we have the man behind it all, Kingpin. I have not looked at anything with Kingpin, but I can already tell you that it's going to be interesting because you can, as you can see, it is an A1, A2 card. That means you're going to be flipping this card back and forth at some point. And when he attacks you, he just schemes. So he's like Nick Fury, who forces them to scheme. He's already doing what Nick Fury wants him to do. So that is interesting. And then his other card there, based on, like, I guess you having stopped him from doing what he wants to do and you caused him to flip. So we need to figure out what's going on here, what's making all these cards happen over time. What can he do? But let's just read this right quick here, just a little bit of this paragraph. As a final boss of this expansion, Kingpin scenario breaks convention in a few different ways. A master of manipulation with unending influence and connections, Kingpin starts his scenario off by immediately calling in each player's set-aside Nemesis minion. That's great. Okay. So you're dealing with your Nemesis right up. Ooh, I like this. All right. You read that right. From the very first turn of the fight, you'll be dealing with not only Kingpin schemes, but your worst enemy fighting alongside him. There's no standard set used. There's no standard set used in Kingpin's scenario. Instead, cards from his own encounter set can bring more of your Nemesis cards into play. For example, did it skip over his... Okay, good. So, it skips over the B, though? It does. Interesting. All right, let's hold off for a second. We have the AB here. Can you guys see that pretty good? It looks like you guys can see that pretty good. Let's walk through these cards real quick. You have Stalwart. So he's stalwart, so he can't be confused or stunned. Kingpin can't be dealt damage or have upgrades attached. Players must hold on. Kingpin cannot be dealt damage or have upgrades attached. The players must garner public support to face him directly. When Kingpin would attack you, he schemes instead. He's got 25 health per player. So we're going to have to take something else down from, I guess, public support is a card that we're going to see here in a second. To deal with him, when Kingpin activates against you, if you are not engaged with a minion, give Kingpin one additional boost card for this activation. This is gonna rock your socks. This is a crazy, just fun reading about it. Hopefully, it's not a lot to set up. So here's the public support, right? Force response: after a minion is defeated, place one force support counter here. Force interrupt: when the villain phase begins, if there are at least 2 per player plus 2 support counters here. So 4 for solo, 6 for double, 8 for 3 player, and 10 for the other player amount, 4 player. Flip Kingpin and advance the main scheme to stage 2A. Then flip this card. This card flips to, what does it flip to? Public support. Interrupt: when an enemy would be given a face down boost card, remove 1 support counter here per player instead. Okay. So that the benefit of what Kingpin can do up here when he's getting an additional boost card. Oh, not a face down boost card though. We're looking at the when an enemy would be given a face down boost card. Okay. So I'm gonna have to understand this a little better. I think when you're getting ready to be attacked, you get a face down boost card. If you don't have any minions, you get an additional boost card. I don't know if this blocks the additional, but it blocks the initial face down boost card. After a minion is defeated, place 1 support counter here. So you want to try to keep taking out minions as often as possible as well. Another cool suit for Iron Fist is in here, by the way. And I think that's Jessica Jones right there. Cool beans. Let's go back to his stuff up here. Because, okay. What it says here. Citizens of New York have handed in crime spree, and you can take down enough of Kingpin's minions, and the people will have your back in the final fight. Get public support flipped to this high side, and you'll cause Kingpin to flip as well, letting you finally take him out directly and bring it into his schemes. Okay. Let's go back in here, look at the Kingpin's influence, which is as a side scheme. Again, I'm not seeing a main scheme, so this is a side scheme. When defeated, the players who defeated this scheme place 3 threat on their nemesis set aside. If it is not in play, they find it and reveal it. The player who defeated this scheme places 3 of their nemesis set aside. 3 threat on their nemesis set aside scheme. Nemesis side scheme. Okay. Is not in play, find it and reveal it. Okay, so this is another way to get your side scheme into play with your minion. Nemesis minion. Okay. Bag of Tricks. When revealed, reveal a random card from your set aside Nemesis set. If no card is revealed this way, this card gains Surge. So this is going to start pulling things out from your... I don't know how this specifically, this little rabbit guy has to do with Kingpin. In fact, this feels more like the rabbits from the Rocket Raccoon Nemesis set, but here we are. Give this character a random card from your set aside Nemesis set as an additional boost card. So you're going to start getting some of your stuff in play. This is probably in there a couple times. Then you get to flip him around, so you get to start fighting him back, which leads us to Bear Hug. If Kingpin has the martial artist trait attached to your hero, otherwise this card gains Surge. 3 grip counters. You cannot change to alter ego form. Great. When you would thwart or attack, remove 1 grip counter from here instead. Okay. That's not too bad. When you would thwart or attack, remove 1 grip counter from here instead. Alright. King's Cane will reveal attached to Kingpin. You are stunned. After Kingpin attacks and damages a hero, stun that hero. If a hero is stunned, discard this card. Okay. So that's fun. You're getting +1 attack. If you're stunned, you're already stunned, take a damage. You're just getting beat in the face with this cane. That's that's cool. I don't like the artwork on this card. I like what the card does. I'm not a fan of that artwork. I think you could have done something different. Oh, here's Bucky again. Bucky! Mountain of Muscle. If Kingpin has the martial artist trait attached to Kingpin, otherwise this card gains Surge. Kingpin gains Retaliate 1. Forced Interrupt. When Kingpin would take any amount of damage, place it here instead. Then, if there is 8 or more damage here, discard this card. Oh, good. We have one of those cards. Okay. But, so it's nice to see that some of these cards require him to be flipped to the other side before you can attach them. And make it clear on both spots. Hey! Spot! Another better version of Spot! I like this. Good choice of art, ladies and gentlemen. This is a good card. Each interplay with 1 spot counter on him. When Spot would be dealt damage from an attack, if there is at least 1 spot counter here, remove 1 spot counter from here and deal that damage to the attacker instead. Otherwise, place 1 spot counter. Oh my gosh! He's going to be a pain in the butt to deal with if you don't do a big attack on him. I like it. This is clever. The art fits exactly what the card's doing. Phenomenal. Fantasy Flight, phenomenal. Oh my gosh. Okay. And then Black Cat, villainous. While there's 4 threat here, treat Black Cat as an ally that takes 2 consequential damage after she attacks or thwarts. Spend a mental resource. Place 1 threat here. If there are 4 threat here, take control of Black Cat ally. Okay. So you have multiple ways you can mess with her. Or you utilize this character. I don't know if I like it. But I will give it a shot and see what it's like. So we didn't see a main scheme for Kingpin. Let's see if he talks about it here. Just keep in mind that her villainous keyword will still work even when she's on your side. This is due to a rule change that Fear No Evil introduces for the villainous keyword, allowing it to work with friendly characters as well. Only one has to wonder why we did that. Interesting. Are we going to see more villains? Is the villainous keyword going to be a part of... Are we getting more villain? Huh? What does that mean? What does that mean? Oh, what does that mean? Huh. We're going to get some allies with the villainous keyword? I don't know. That is an interesting statement there at the end. I just want to see if it says anything else. It doesn't say anything else about a main scheme. Unless this functions as the main scheme, but this is an environment. So I guess we'll find out what his main scheme is later on. I mean, we still have 3 more of these villains to look at, hopefully, in the future. So maybe they'll talk a little bit more about Kingpin in those articles as well. All right. We're here at the end, and they kind of talk about a little bit about reminding us that who they are, and they just kind of give us a brief like piece of information on the heroes that are coming into play in this box. And the heroes coming on later on. So we know for sure now that Echo is going to come in protection. And Daredevil, who everybody's been waiting for, is going to come in justice. And he's going to have a separate deck that has a sense deck. So I think that's interesting. I'm kind of curious why they didn't give a sense deck as well to her, because she is deaf and he is blind. But I guess we'll find out as we play. I'm excited for both these heroes. I'm excited to see how they both play. I think it's very cool that we get the deaf hero and the blind hero coming into the game. And then, of course, we've already been revealed who our other 4 allies are. And with Elektra being one of the other 4 heroes are, and with Elektra being here, maybe her being a villain gives that villainous keyword to her. Or if we're just going to get more of these allies, minions that can flip-flop back and forth to get this villainous helping them out. I have to go back and look. Are there other minions out there that have villainous on them that can become an ally for a short time? I don't know. Maybe they encountered a lot with the Enchantress set where it's like it just would have been better to have one card and then just allow that card to go back and forth between the player and the villain. That is just an interesting concept. So, all right, crime has risen in New York City, and Kingpin and his underlings are to blame. Can you stop all the chaos and restore peace to the Big Apple? Take on Kingpin and his criminal underworld when Fear No Evil comes in July! Awesome. You can pre-order your own copy of Fear No Evil at your local retailer or online through our web store today. Awesome. So maybe having to look at figuring that out. But July is when we're finally getting some new stuff, which means it's going to really let us finish out testing out Wonder Man and Hercules and give plenty of time for folks to talk about this game. I know I've gone on for a long time about this. This is a longer article than I normally go through. Thank you guys for bearing with me on it. I'm just excited with all my thoughts. I think this is going to be one of the best boxes we've seen in a while. I like getting some street level villains to contend with. I like what they're doing. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I can't wait to race towards this box. But I think Defenders are going to be great. I'm excited to see what these scenarios bring along, and better get this video out. So thank you guys for watching. Next time will be Deadly Serious next time. Peace.